Today on the channel, things are getting flexible with the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, Major Bendies line with Jeff Jarrett and Conrad Thompson.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here. Welcome back to the channel for a Major Bendies unboxing and review. Yes, today we've got the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast wrestling figure line of Major Bendies with Jeff Jarrett Early Edition, Jeff Jarrett Don't Piss Me Off Edition, and of course the old Podfather Conrad Thompson. Of course you can pick these up at the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast merch store is where they're selling these. They're selling these in-house, but I believe they are selling them to comic book stores, toy shops, things like that. If they want to place an order, I'm sure they'd cut them a deal maybe. I don't know. Sounds good. But today we're talking Bendies, and truth be told, you guys know, longtime viewers of the channel, I am not a Bendies guy. I was of age of the LJNs, Hasbros. Of course, Bendies came after the Hasbros, then into our Jakks Bone Crunchers. And the Bendies, I never picked them up when I was a kid. They just didn't do anything for me. I just never correlated in my mind ever as a kid. This is pre-internet, of course, that these were action figures. Anything could be an action figure, I guess, if you really want to break it down. If it doesn't move, well, it has action, it's a figure, okay, it counts as an action figure. But to me, these weren't like LJNs, they weren't like Hasbros. They are Bendies. I almost thought of them as just kind of a novelty gift is what I thought the Bendies were back in the day. Just something you'd get just to hang on to. I never in a million years thought about mixing them in my Hasbro figure fed. I didn't do any of that kind of stuff. So I passed on the Bendies, but then being a long-time collector, buying lots of figures, getting things over the years, I've had many a Bendies in my life. A lot of the series, almost the whole series, I think I owned at one time before, except for that later series, the Taz, and some of those really hard to get ones. I had most of my collection, and then you guys saw a video on the channel, That's So Hard to Say Goodbye. It might have even been the first one where I got rid of my entire Bendies collection. I said, I don't have a love, I don't have a nostalgia for these, I don't need them. And that's how I am. If I can't display it or I don't really like it, it has no room in my collection, so I got rid of them. But that being said, I'm all about the entrepreneurial spirit. I'm all about people taking chances on themselves, and that's what the Major Podcast guys have done for a long time. Now they're putting their money where their mouth is with action figures, and like I said, Bendies, novelty action figures, they move, they have action, they are figures, we'll count them as action figures, but they're putting their money where their mouth is, and they're coming to market with these, so kudos to them for taking a chance, getting these out. And it's really the one hole, basically, in collecting of wrestling figures that hasn't been filled. Of course, we got the retros, Retromania running wild Hasbro style. We know that from Cella, Zombie, Rush Collectibles, Mattel back in the game, all that kind of stuff. We got AEW jumping in with the LJN style. We got Junk Shop Dog jumping in with the old school Poppies. There's a lot of retro type figures coming out right now. So somebody need to make Bendies. Somebody was going to do it, and I think it was smart of the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast guys to do it, because I guarantee you, if they weren't in here in the lines, in the trenches doing this, there'd be some other company doing this. I don't know if we'd have the same assortment that we've got so far, but somebody would have made these figures. There's no doubt in my mind. And we still do get a lot of Bendy figures. I think we opened up a Creature from the Black Lagoon Bendy figure not too long ago on the channel. But of course, we're going to do this video like we do all the other videos on the channel. We're going to take a look at the packaging. We're going to talk about it. We're going to unbox it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to see where it goes from there. So first off, let's take a look at the early Jeff Jarrett. I guess that's the way to do it. Old Aztec Jeff Jarrett. That's what we got here. So now, let's talk about packaging on these. And a lot of the packaging is going to be the same comments throughout because they are uniform packaging, which I do approve of. The coolest thing about this packaging, though, is you can remove the card and the figure and put it all back in place if you want to. So that is good. That is also bad. It could make some people not buy a second one because, hey, I want a mint on card set, I want a loose set. Well, now you don't have to choose. You can kind of do both. At the same time, too, people can take these out, play with them, get their fingers, their grubby hands all over them, put them back in here and sell them and say, oh, brand new, never played with, whatever. So there is that caveat to it all. But at the end of the day, very, very cool packaging. We've seen this before with other action figures in the past, so it's not something really new, but it is new to a lot of wrestling figures for sure. But you got the big bubble window here. You got Jeff Jarrett. I love this artwork of Jeff Jarrett, the old school cartoon artwork. That really does remind me of the good old days, the good old Double J days. You got the official Major Wrestling Figure Podcast right there. You got Major Bendies that Jarrett's bending that. It's really a throwback love letter to the old Bendies of old. You got the exclusive right here at the bottom. Not a toy, ages 18 and up. And we see that a lot with a lot of non-mainstream collectibles. Mattel, Hasbro, stuff like that. You don't see the 18 and up. I don't know if there's legalities in that. I'm sure I could ask those guys and they'd probably be honest about it. But I wonder if there is a legality. You say it's 18 and up. That way you don't have to have any conform to children laws, things like that. This is for adults, that kind of thing. Maybe you get a skirt tail around a little bit of legal system. I don't know that for a fact, but it is interesting. Not a toy, ages 18 and up. Because honestly, I don't think a 5-year-old's going to kill themselves with this thing. But you never know. Kids are strange sometimes. But then you got bendable, posable collectibles. You got the My World Jeff Jarrett podcast logo on here. And then you got the Major Pod Network logo right on here as well. All about branding. I say it all the time. It's all about branding, cross-sells. It's all about those blurbs as well. No real blurbs going on this one, though. But we do got a cross-sell and the glamour shots of ages of old. A little cross-sell action there. Once again, you get the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast there. Bendable collectibles, My World logo. Listen now to the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast. And then you do get the card here. And if you remember old school Bendies back in the day, you could remove this card, of course. Take that out. Take it with you. Collect the Bendies cards, all that kind of stuff. But they did a really cool thing here, I think, with this. They didn't make you cut that out. I guess you could. There's no stopping you. But you don't have to cut that out because they gave us cards along with these. So you get the same card going on. You get a back with Jeff Jarrett's autograph on there. Major Bendies, Jeff Jarrett, Major Pod, TM 2022, Major Bendies. So that is cool. That is a nice thing to do there. So it doesn't make you choose. And if you really want that old school Bendies feel, if you got a stack of cards from your old ones, now you can put these with that as well. So I think that is really cool. Packaging gets an A+ design on me. There's only one gripe I have on the packaging here. Now, I do know people are buying collector cases for it. I'm not sure. I'm not going down that road for protective cases. A lot of people are going to hang these on the wall, of course, but there's a lot of people that don't hang stuff on walls for whatever reason, and more power to you. So a lot of people would want to display these on like a bookshelf. Well, it's pretty much impossible with the carding. As you can see, it's got the like almost, you know, paper thin here right there, and then the bubbles up a little bit higher. So you can't do that. There's nothing. I'm using a couple of Elites here to lean these guys on so they do stand up. So you're not going to be able to stand it on your desk or whatever. I think that is one thing. If I could switch anything with the packaging, that's what I'd do. I'd make it so you could just stand it straight up here on a table if you really wanted to. A little gripe, but it's something I do notice. But then to get these out, all I do is move that little plastic thing, and this bad boy just slides out like that. That is really cool. That is really cool. A nice sturdy cardboard backing here. I would say the harder the backing on this, the better. It's still a little bit movable here, a little bit pliable. Thicker the better because it won't get dinged, all that kind of fun stuff. But you do got that. The official Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, Jeff Jarrett. Right there. There it is. Very, very cool looking, though. I got to admit. And then you get this out, and it comes in this nice little case. Very protective. And then you pull old Jeff out of there. You get old Double J. And you're off to the races, and you got an old school Bendies figure. So very interesting. Really brings me back to the Bendies. I gotta say, not as pliable, not as bendy as Bendies of old. And this is my first time holding a Major Bendy, but definitely not as pliable as the old ones. But it is cool. It is a little tongue-in-cheek. It's an homage, a tribute to those. And I don't know of anybody that's buying these that really needs these to be really bendable. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's my collector, my old age. Who knows? I don't need this to be bendable, so I'm fine with something like this. But there might be somebody who says, oh, it's a Major Bendy, I should be able to move these up over their head, do all that kind of stuff. Well, guess what? The old ones didn't do that either. That was part of my gripe with them. They weren't even really bendy. They really weren't posable at all. And these kind of are in that same tradition. But really good paint apps on this. Of course, it's old school Aztec Jeff Jarrett. Got the little checker going on, the double J on the boots, the white and black attack boots. The nice baby blue against the white. Very, very pale white skin for old Jeff Jarrett. Not a lot of sun in Nashville back then, apparently. Nice blonde hair going on. I mean, this is early Jeff Jarrett, early WWF run. I remember Jeff Jarrett from the old days on ESPN in the afternoons. But Jeff Jarrett also never really got his due in figure form compared to a lot of people of his age bracket, his time coming in the business. Of course, he had the Bendies, he had a Bone Cruncher, but the Elite line lacking. He's not in Jazzwares. Jack's Ruthless Aggression didn't get anything in that. We did get some Toy Bizes. We did get a Legends of the Ring from Jax, but not a ton of figures compared to some of his counterparts, I would say. It does have the little holes on, as you always saw with Bendies, and you still see to this day. You get that little kind of holes in the plastic so you can help move. Doesn't really help move anything on this one. Really cool note to the past, once again, with the Major Bendies is getting the autograph back in the skin here. Jeff Jarrett's interesting. You could almost miss it. It almost blends in. You almost do miss it, but very, very good. Good solid look of Jeff Jarrett here. Kind of went through everything, but yeah, no bendy to this one. So the next two will go a little bit faster, but this is the Aztec Jeff Jarrett. We'll just go in order. We might as well take a look at old Double J, the Don't Piss Me Off Attitude Era. Looks like he's getting ready to hit Beetlejuice in the head with a guitar. Would have loved a guitar accessory along here, but of course that's going to add some cost. And Bendies never really came with accessories either, so I guess it doesn't really have to do them. Packaging, same thing, but you get an updated version of Jeff Jarrett. Everything else is kind of the same logos, same branding. And on the back, once again, we got the cards going on. We do get a card for Jeff Jarrett included here. Same type thing we saw with the Aztec one. Very cool. I think that was a smart idea by that team to do that. But you got the cross-sell as well, Double J. Looking only like he can look. Just don't piss him off, whatever you do. That's what it says there. And then the package removes the same as the other one. Put it off to the side. The old see you later off to the side. Pull Double J out. I like that you can put it back in, but like I said, for the same reason I don't like you can put it back in. Some kid could get their grubby hands all over it, put it back in. Oh yeah, it's been on card, never been opened. Has it not been opened? I don't know. But there's old Double J. Don't piss me off, so you can finally put it on the shirt here. Looks really good. Double J real jacked up here. He was jacked up in the other one, but for some reason, this looks more realistic than this one, at least in the upper body. And maybe it's the hair. It's got to be the hair causing that. It's got a little Samson type look of the hair going on. But you got the glasses, you got the short Jeff Jarrett haircut. Once again, you get the autograph in the back. You can see it a little bit better because of the black on the tank top there. Of course, you got the tank top in the front. Same kind of holes in the back like we saw with the other Bendies. You got the silver, black, and red going on. But really good. You give me both of these guys without any kind of packaging or anything and say, who are these two wrestlers? I'm going to tell you all day it's Jeff Jarrett. So it definitely does work as far as looks department. You know this is Jeff Jarrett all day long. So looking really good. Boy, between the two, I don't know. It's pretty close to me. I'm going old school Jeff Jarrett. Something about this Aztec one looks really good. I'm going to say he's my favorite of the two, but both very strong Jeff Jarrett. And rumors are Jeff Jarrett's back in the WWE, so we'll see if that sticks and if that ends up being true to life. So now the final one is an interesting one. I guess I can put my Edge off to the side now. And I'll put Bob Orton off to the side now. But very interesting one here is Conrad Thompson. Of course, Conrad has 1,000 podcasts. He's a hardworking man just like me. Working a mortgage job just like me, working 70 hours a week at my job. Plus, I pull out 1 million videos a week. He puts out 1 million podcasts. We're like brothers from another brother, mother. But he's down in Alabama doing his thing, doing the podcast empire, and really cool for him to get a figure. It fits with Jeff Jarrett. Would be great to get Bruce Pritchard and some more of those guys. That might be an opportunity for the Major Bendies. They're probably already looking into that a little bit. But cool to get a Conrad figure, and it makes sense. It doesn't make sense for a lot of podcasters and people like that to get a figure. But like we said, Conrad has 1 million podcasts. He has a big audience, including Jeff Jarrett in his podcast realm. So it makes sense. You got a lot of crossover appeal. Of course, you got the major pod fandom out there buying these figures, but then you get all the podcast listeners of Conrad. People that listen to Conrad every single day. Hey, I listen to him every day. I'll take his figure on there. And I think you're seeing a lot of collectors trading around saying, I'll take the Conrad, you take the Jarretts, and vice versa, things like that. But I love stuff like this. Very tongue-in-cheek, very cool to do, very one-off, very unexpected in some ways. Just a very cool idea, and I'm sure Conrad's got to be happy to get a figure of himself. That is a pretty cool moment, I would assume, being somebody that doesn't have a figure of myself. But that is very, very cool. But there's Conrad. Same type of packaging. We don't have to walk through all that. But then you got Conrad up at the top. Looking only like he can look. Looking like the Alabama Dream, as they call him. Of course, everybody always thinks he looks like Akeem or the One Man Gang. whatever you want to call it. On the back, you've got Conrad. Once again, we get the card separate right here. It got his interesting autograph on the back. It looks like CJ to me. Whenever I see that, I see CJ, but it's obviously CT, Conrad Thompson. He went to the Darby Allin School of Autographing. He doesn't want to put his whole name out there, so he's just going to put a DA or a Moxley with just a Mox. What happened to the days of the fancy autographs? Get those days back. Put some love into that autograph. But there's old Conrad back there. But it definitely looks good. Of course, it's going to open the same as all the other ones. As you guys know, you slide this bad boy out and pull him out of the bubble. And we're off to the races with old Conrad Thompson. I think the Jarrett does look a little bit more like Jarrett than Conrad looks like Conrad. And maybe that's because Jeff Jarrett's been in my vocabulary, in my head since the 90s, where Conrad, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, what's it been? Who knows? What is time anymore? So if somebody handed me this and said, and I didn't know what it was part of, whatever, I'd say, oh, a bendy? And then I'd say, I don't know who this is. Should I know who this is? But if you say Conrad Thompson, then you're like, oh, okay, clicks, Conrad Thompson. But I think it's the head sculpt a little bit. It's just a hair off. Maybe it's not tan enough. I mean, he's pretty tan on the card. Maybe that's it. But it's close enough to be dangerous. Once again, these are bendies. They're more cartoony than your elite figures and stuff like that. So you got to take that into account as well. But he's got his nice suit coat and jacket. He's got his belt buckle going on. He's got his sneakers going on with his suit. You know, it's all business casual these days. There's very few people that have to wear a suit and tie, besides me every once in a while. Most people are business casual, and that's the way it should be. Black hair, white skin. I like the attention to detail of the yellow watch on him. That is a nice attention to detail there. Conrad has 2 fists ready to go. He's ready to throw down in case some of the podcasters get out of line. He's ready to put the slam down on him. And then, like I said, the shoes are really good. A really nice touch with the red, black, and white to break up some of the color on here. Once again, you do get the autograph on the back. And there it is. That's old Conrad Thompson. Very, very cool moment in time figure. No figure stands are going to work on these guys. Maybe some putty, something like that. But they do stand up okay. I guess we'll do the stand test right here with Jarrett's as well. It looks like the Don't Piss Me Off Jarrett's going to be the toughest one to stand. He's got a little bit of an arch to his back, so he's a little hard. These two stand just fine, though. So you got to just decide how you're going to display these guys. I got to think most people are displaying these on card, but I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments. What are your plans with these major bendies? You picking up? You passing? You got any ideas for other figures to come out? Do you have any recommendations of who they should make major bendies of? Put it in the comments down below. Sound off with your thoughts on these bad boys and let me know what you think. I'm happy I made this purchase just because I want to try out. I want to support every new toy line I can, but I want to see what all the fuss is about. You know I'm all about that fuss, and I got to feel these in my hand so I can give an honest opinion on these. And for what they are, I think it's a great nostalgic look to the past, a love letter to Bendies of old. I'm first to say it, I don't have a love letter to Bendies of old, but I know a lot of people do, people of certain age brackets. Hey, this is for you all day long. That is who they are selling to, and hopefully you support them and pick these figures up from the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast, guys. You can search it out to buy these. So there it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Of course, you've made it this far. You might as well thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the old notification bell, and of course, follow along early, much earlier on Patreon where you get this video early, bonus content, exclusive content, and of course, monthly giveaways over there on the Patreon. And then follow along on social media at SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson, and ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. So for major bendies and bendims everywhere, I am Kyle. See you guys all real soon.